morning. Y'all join me in the invocation this morning. Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day, and we're always grateful for an opportunity to serve you and to serve our community. Lord, we pray today that you give us wisdom and direction as we deliberate here on the county's business. We pray for all those here in our county that are sick or hurting or need your touch. I know there's a lot of things going on, Father, that impact a lot of families, and we just ask you to minister to them even now. Thank you, Lord, for all you do for us. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Join me to pledge the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Be seated. Since we've got the screen going on today, I'll share our exhibits with you. First up this morning, under announcements, we have a proclamation declaring April 27th through May the 4th, 2025 as Texas Soil and Water Stewardship Week here in Harrison County. And we have that proclamation here, and those guys were just here. I'll quickly read the proclamation. Whereas healthy, fertile soil and clean water is the lifeblood of nutrition and sustenance throughout the world, and soil conservation is a benefit to everyone, and whereas effective conservation practices ensure soil, water, animals, plants, and air can provide a rich standard of living, and whereas our survival and continued production and access to quality food and water depends upon the robust management of diverse natural resources nationwide, and whereas stewardship calls upon every individual to help conserve these precious resources to ensure their prosperity for generations to come, therefore I do hereby proclaim the week of April 27th through May the 4th, 2025 as Texas Soil and Water Stewardship Week. Those guys were just mentioning that they've been working with some groups, high school groups, on their forestry teams, and so they do a lot more than simply soil and water, but we appreciate them being involved. Next up is a proclamation proclaiming April 2025 as National County Government Month. I'll read that proclamation. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties serving more than 330 million Americans provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities, and whereas counties fulfill a vast range of responsibilities and deliver services that touch nearly every aspect of our residents' lives, and whereas counties as intergovernmental partners enact local, state, and federal programs to address the needs of all residents, and whereas Harrison County and all counties take pride in the responsibility to protect and enhance the wealth, the health, well-being, and safety of our residents in an efficient and cost-effective ways, and whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to elevate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, and services, whereas Harrison County, located in East Texas, and county seat is Marshall, be it resolved that we, the Harrison County Commissioners Court, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as National County Government Month and encourage all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in county government celebration activities. Happy to do that this month as well. Also, I want to with any other announcements from you guys, commissioners, I do want to recognize Jason Jenkins here today as a Harrison County Volunteer of the Year from the Extension Office. And Mr. Garrett, you have some comments about, you want to make, or Ms. McDonald, maybe you both want to come up and make some comments.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Each year at the county extension office, we always recognize an outstanding volunteer, and this year we selected Mr. Jason Jenkins, and we'd like to take a quick group picture. But Jason has really stepped up. He's one of the major driving forces in our shooting sports project. He volunteered, actually he and his wife volunteered to be coaches, but he's out there basically every Saturday with the kids practicing.
We say this every time we come here, we can't do what we do in the extension office without great volunteers, and Mr. Jenkins is exemplary of this honor.
Very good. Well, we certainly appreciate him and all his efforts, and what y'all are doing as well, so thank you. We're happy if y'all to come up here if you want to get a picture right quick. Congratulations, sir. Thank you. All right, any other announcements before we move on? I don't have any public comments or if anybody wants to make a comment or anything going on today.
Did you get this Tom?
Yeah, you know, I don't have that on the top of my page. That's on the second one here. Yep. Thank you for that. We also have a special thank you for the donation from the Courthouse Preservation Council to repair the courthouse bell. Is anybody here today from the Courthouse Preservation Council? I know Commissioner Hatfield, you're on that council, and Sam Mosley, I believe, heads that up, and I don't think Sam was able to be here today, but you guys may have heard as soon as we walked in this morning, our bell is back to ringing after about a 2 or 3 years it's been down, so we're grateful and appreciative of their efforts to get that back going for us. Thank you, Commissioner Ebarb, for.
Yeah, I'd like to say a big thank you to Sam Mosley for chairing that and helping us out with that. It's part of their endowment, and they were looking for a place to help make some improvements, and Brad Thomas came up with the idea about the bell, so we're glad to get that done.
Yes, sir. All right, if there is nothing else, we'll call our meeting to order. It is the 22nd day of April, 2025. We're here in the Commissioner's Courtroom at Harrison County Courthouse in Marshall, Texas. Present and voting today, Precinct 1, Commissioner Hatfield. Precinct 2, Commissioner Timmons. Sims presiding. Precinct 3 is Commissioner Coos. And Precinct 4 is Commissioner Ebarb. It's 9:10 a.m. First item this morning is from our auditor's administrative report. These are financial reports for the calendar year 2024. Good morning, Ms. Haynes.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. You should have a copy of the calendar year, which is required by statute, that I submit to you all. It is a view of the financials from January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024 in comparison to the same time frame for 2023. I don't really have anything. It's difficult to talk to this because this isn't what y'all are used to seeing. Y'all are used to me reporting on fiscal years. But by statute, I am required to submit this.
Very good. Do you guys have any questions about this annual report, as Ms. Haynes said, it's not what we're used to seeing. We go by fiscal year from October 1 to September 30, and that makes more sense in what we do since it captures all of our revenues, expenses, which this does as well, just the timing's off. If you don't have any questions, we'll move on to item number 1. This is consideration and approval regarding line item transfers.
I'm requesting transferring $22,872.84.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Ebarb. Any questions or comments on our line item transfers? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Number 2 is consideration and approval of payment of regular bills.
You should have a report of the expense of approval report. The total amount of the report for the bills to be approved is $316,201.43. Included in that amount is $173,282.56 worth of credits due to return of vehicles for enterprise. General fund, our sheriff's office had 6 vehicles returned, and Road and Bridge had 7 vehicles returned. So we sold those 13 vehicles for $326,651.59. With the reduced book value that we had to pay and the sales fee, our net proceeds is $173,282.56. So basically, the net cash out the door for this bill pay is $489,483.99. So that's what you're approving today for cash payments. Now, you'll see these credits again, because we currently have a credit balance with Enterprise until we have an invoice that we do not have a credit balance. So
So they'll hold those funds and we'll work it off each month?
Yes, sir.
Great. I noticed up here on the top, it shows that negative 169,000 there, so that's it's great to have a negative number in your expenses. So we're happy to have that. But that's where those were sales, and I understand we also have more cars to sell, more vehicles coming
Yes,
up,
sir.
so-
We are planning a public auction for the county-owned vehicles, and we're continuing to turn over our fleet with Enterprise.
Yep. Very good.
Let me ask a question. Have we looked at how well, I mean, we've had auctions in-house before, but is there a I know they charge a fee to sell a vehicle, but if we compared what we get at a local auction that we handle as opposed to what Enterprise might get if we run them through them and paid them that fee, I mean, it might be a significant difference.
Actually, Judge Sims and Commissioner Hatfield requested that I look at that, and most, in the scenarios I looked at, we actually receive more funds.
They're high mileage, most of them anyway.
The vehicles that we own, yes, they are high mileage.
So we receive more funds from
Us selling versus going.
Enterprise?
Okay.
And the information I had given y'all did not include the fees that they would charge us, which granted, it's only $400 per vehicle, but that was not incorporated in that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve payment of our regular bills?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coos, second by Commissioner Ebarb. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Number 3 is consideration and approval of payroll for April 11, 2025.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments on our payroll? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Next up is our administrative report from Road and Bridge. Good morning, Mr.
Morning, Your Honor,
Davis.
Commissioners, how y'all doing?
Good.
So, we started burning our debris piles from the storm for the FEMA reimbursement. So we're hoping to finish that up and get the ashes scattered and pictures took and get a reimbursement from FEMA. On all that, we're still continuing to clean up after the storms we've had with all the winds. A lot of patching, a lot of overlaying, a lot of road damage work. We're starting to prep our ditches for our construction program this year. Caddo Lake is back down at 170 feet. It crested at 172.2. So that's a good thing. Like I said, we're also preparing to kick off our summer construction program. So we've presented our construction list for this year and our chip seal list. And that's about all I've got on the administrative report.
I have a question for you on the burning. You talking about the big pile over by the airport?
Yes, sir. We have one at Muntz Pit over there off of Highway 80 in Precinct 3, and one over at Buck Sherrod Road by the airport.
Burning both of them?
No, we got starting at the Muntz Pit.
Okay.
We only have one dozer to try to keep it contained. As soon as we burn it, spread the ashes to promote grass growth.
Yeah.
We'll move it to the number 1 pit and do the same thing.
So when you get out there to Buck Sherrod by the airport, you might let Danny, the airport manager, know so he
Oh,
can
yes,
put
sir.
out
I
some
always
information.
call him so he can post a note.
Yeah, very good.
Judge, I have something.
Yes, sir.
Luke, did we provide the barricades when we redid the sidewalk here on this south, west area around our courthouse? Did we provide those
I
wooden
think we
barricades?
did. I think Brad Thomas come and pick some up, if
Did
I'm
he?
not mistaken.
If you don't mind, would you swing by on your way back to the barn and pick those up? I picked them up out of the way yesterday. They were still blocking parking, and parking is always an issue up here. And I laid them up against the wall out here on that corner there, so we
Definitely
get
will.
those back out there.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Luke.
Any other questions, comments? We'll move on to item number 1, consideration approval of personnel changes for Harrison County Road and Bridge Department.
We've had one new hire and one retirement since our last Commissioners Court meeting.
Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Coos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Next up, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be a record. Item number 2 is consideration and approval of the utility application submitted to Harrison County Road and Bridge Department as follows. I'm not gonna read all those. It's almost 80 road borings, right-of-way applications, mostly from Spectrum Gulf Coast. They are the folks who are adding fiber to areas in our underserved areas in our county, and we're thankful to see so many of those. Along with that comes the issue of running into water mains and what have you, but that's just growing pains.
That's right.
We also have East Tex Telephone Co-op on Jonesville Road, Comstock on Blocker Road, and a couple from the city of Wascom on Wrestling Cemetery Road.
Yes, sir. There's one application for the Jonesville cutoff that's fiber optic in the city of Wascom at Wrestling Cemetery Road. It's a service line for a water hookup. All these applications have been reviewed, and they all meet our specifications outlined in our utilities applications.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Ebarb. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Brings us to item number 3. This is a public hearing for the permanent abandonment of the northernmost 353.8 feet of Riley Road, which is County Road 1144 off of FM 9 in Precinct 1. This public hearing will be open here at 9:20 a.m. We're open now. Does anybody like to make a comment on the permanent abandonment of this 353 feet of Riley Road? Anybody like to speak for or against it?
Yeah, this is at the request of Robert and Linda Delude, which they own the property at the end of the cul-de-sac and on both sides of it. So I do not have a problem with it.
You're happy with it? You guys, would y'all like to speak or say something? You're welcome to. You don't have to.
Come on.
Come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We own both sides and we've tried to clean up all that in that neighborhood and, the intentions of this is we want to put a gate across there to match our surroundings and to keep people it's just to keep people from wandering. They have no business down there. There's nobody that has any business down there but us, but one other folks, and they've got a driveway, and we're just trying to, we've had problems in the past, people just wandering, looking, and we got kids and grandkids, and we're just trying to eliminate this.
Sure.
So, thank y'all.
You bet. Thank you. Any other questions, comments during our public hearing? If not, we'll close this portion of our public hearing. It's 9:22 a.m. And we'll move on to item number 4. This is consideration and action for the approval of the order to close public access to a portion of Riley Road, which is County Road 1144 in Precinct 1, and authorization for the county judge to execute said order. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item number 5 is consideration and approval of the 2025 Seal Coat Plan.
Yeah, y'all should have a list. I just wish we could do a lot more.
We do too.
You guys have any questions or comments on our Seal Coat Plan?
These are the 7-day car counts on here?
Yes, sir.
Look, how hard is it to seal coat during off-season?
Oh, it's very hard. It's a very seasonal process. So we try to shoot for the month of August when it's the hottest. Because we like to use that hot oil. And when the weather's cooled down, you have to go back to a cooler oil. It takes a longer curing period with that cooler oil.
During that period, do you run out of funds, materials?
Oh, yes, sir.
And is there a reason why you don't come back to us and ask for more material?
We're gonna address that today. You know, we usually ask for more every year, but I understand that, you know, with the new building we got and all that, you know, I know funds are restricted.
All right, we've got the Seal Coat Plan in front of us for 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebarb, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Now, number 6 is consideration and approval of the 2025 Road Construction Plan.
If you'll notice, a lot of those roads is gonna be paid for by road damage, by oil field activity and such.
So you can see this is Precinct 1, and it's got about $24,000 of road damage paying for this $329,000 worth of total expense. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Actually, it's gonna be more than that before we get started this summer. Strickland Springs Road is gonna all be road damage, so
So it looks like there's a little over 188,000 of road damage in precinct 1.
additional road damage funds.
That'd be for Owen George, which falls in precinct 1 and 2.
There's precinct 2. Precinct 3. Precinct 4. Any questions or comments from Mr. Davis on the 2025 road construction plan? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coos, second by Commissioner Ebarb. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Number 7 is consideration and action to accept a donation of soil cement from Sabine Oil and Gas for Waldron Ferry South and Red Oak Road in Precinct 2.
Yes, sir, this is in precinct 2, and we've had a couple of residents that have built in there, and it's the old mine roads. They're dirt, and there's a lot of oil field activity. So Sabine Oil and Gas, I reached out to them, and we come to an agreement. They're going to supply the cement, which is $39,525 worth of material. We'll supply the manpower and equipment and fix it for these people.
So you'll soil cement it, then what are we gonna do with the top?
If we get another allotment of millings, we'll haul some millings in, and maybe next summer, put it on the road program to shoot road oil in it and have them a good road in there.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Let me ask you a question. What would be the cost to go ahead and oil it while we're there, rather than wait? I mean, why would we waste millions and then come back?
Well, we hadn't got the millings to do it yet, which we probably won't get to this fall.
Okay, so you're gonna leave it just a dirt soil, is it a
That's
dirt road
right.
currently?
Yes,
So you're just talking about cementing it and setting it up? And
yeah, that's right, because they can't even get to their house when we have these weather events. I think there are a couple of them's wife drives small cars. It's just a gravel and red clay road, and when the tankers go through, they rut it up, you know.
You know what? And I hate to say this, but I hear this all the time because I've got several places in my precinct that I get hammered on. But when these people bought these lots on an undeveloped road, they bought them knowing that that road was not a county road or was an undeveloped road. There's a reason that lot sold for possibly less money than what it did on a developed, maintained road. I just have a hard time that we now go back and now they start complaining because their road's bad. And yet when they bought that lot, started building this house down there, it was a dirt road when they bought.
Oh,
So now they
correct.
come back and think that we should pull off and go to a road that, and as much damage as we got in 730-something miles of paved road, and do something for them. It's kind of mind-boggling to me that
We get it all the time.
yeah, well, we do too. We get the calls, and I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if I go in and buy a lot knowing that the road's undeveloped, then, I mean, that's a choice that I personally made. So, I mean, I just have a hard time, with the road work that we have, that we would, that we would do this. And I'm not saying that because it's in any of the other precincts, because it happens all over. I've got multiple roads in 4, and we hadn't addressed those. So I'm just saying, it's hard for me to understand what the criteria is for us to now go back in and work on something that's relatively new.
Right.
Compared to what we
Well, I'm
had
just
in-
proud Sabine Oil stepped up and
Well, I
helped
mean,
out, you know.
we'd be a fool to turn down $39,000 worth of soil cement, but well, that's my 2 cents worth of what it
It's a good point, we understand, and I appreciate you going after some soil
is.
cement.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah, I'm not fussing.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
But also, correct me if I'm wrong, when these roads was given back, I thought that they was gonna be given back to us as a fixed road.
Yeah, but I don't think, that particular road was ever a hard top surface. It's always been a dirt road, that end of Walden's Ferry. So,
We did get some back a couple of years ago in the mines that they went in.
Yes, we
and
did, Cave
fixed,
Springs
that were
Road.
brought back and turned back over as a maintained road.
Yes, they did put hard tops
Yeah,
back on
yeah.
those.
But as a show of good faith, you know, we give it to you, you do whatever it is you need to do. Seem like you ought to give it back to us in better shape than what
I
it
agree.
was when you got it.
I agree. I try to hold their feet to the fire on it too, you know.
Well, I appreciate that because I came to you, I think, several times about this road and we're finally getting something done. And I appreciate the efforts that you put out
You're welcome.
to get that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Timmons. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other questions or comments on this acceptance of the donation of cement from Sabine Oil and Gas? Not all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0.
And I know this is not our budgetary hearings, but Ms. Benson has a presentation that she has put together for the court. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Let me begin by saying that Road and Bridge is in a bit of a conundrum. The Special Tax Assistance District did not pass in November, much to the disappointment of many. I completely understand why the Road and Bridge Department was set where it was this fiscal year. To make the cuts that were needed to be made for the communication upgrades and other necessary projects, hundreds of thousands of dollars had to be cut from budgets. With the Road and Bridge Department being the second largest department, naturally we were the first on the chopping block. However, the allocations that we have been receiving in road oil and paving materials, base stabilization, contract construction, and salaries have been shy of our requests since I have been with the department. The pinch of inflation has turned into an all-out death grip at this point. When the question was posed to me, what is it going to take to turn this department around? The answer was simple: money. Not a popular answer, not an answer that anyone likes to give, but at this point, the situation at the Road and Bridge Department is critical. Road oil and paving, as of the date that I submitted this report to be placed on the agenda, we had worked 110 regularly scheduled work days. So far, we have spent $311,713.05 on routine maintenance from the road oil and paving line. Deduct a ticket that was paid from FY24 that was carried over, and that brings us to a total of $294,889.85 spent in 110 work days for an average of $2,680.82 spent on road oil and paving materials every day. This includes emulsion, oil dirt, and type D. If we continue at this rate, our maintenance and patching materials would need to be $557,606.40 for FY25. This does not take into account moving to a 6-day work week during construction. The needed construction budget based on the maintenance budget would need to be increased to $1,858,688 based on the current averages and expenditures. The Road and Bridge budget request for road oil and paving materials was $1.2 million for FY25. The Road and Bridge allocation for road oil and paving materials this year was $800,000, or 67% of the request granted. This has been a mostly average year with no extreme weather events like we've experienced in past years. Again, looking at base stabilization, we requested $475,000 in budget hearings and were allocated $350,000. That was 74% of our request. Contract construction, there's a lot of things that go into this line. We're anticipating a cost of $4 per square yard for chip seal for this year. average requirement for 1 mile of road is 12,906 square yards. Estimated cost to chip seal 1 mile of road this year is gonna be around $51,000. From this line, we also have contract tree removal. Sometimes there's trees out there that we just can't get. We're road and bridge, we're not equipped with bucket trucks and whatnot. On average, that runs about $2,000 a tree. Just 5 trees per precinct per year, you're looking at about $40,000 we need for tree removals. We do work with other entities, power companies, et cetera, and try to get some of that taken care of, but sometimes there's still ones that need to be taken down that we are responsible for. We also have to enlist the services of a contract engineer. $10,000 a year might be a little bit much, but some years it may not be enough at all. It just depends on what we have coming down the pipe that year. Currently, we have a right-of-way mowing bid. It's $126,442.05 per cycle. We mow twice a year. Total cost for that would be $252,884.10. Based on the above figures, Road and Bridge would need $917,972.15 for contract construction in FY '25. The budget request for FY '25 was $750,000. Road and Bridge was allocated $150,000, or 20% of the necessary funds. Again, I understand the tax assistance district, we all had our fingers crossed, and we were hoping it would have been a huge blessing for the Road and Bridge Department. But if you average out what we requested and what we were granted this year, we received on average 54% of our requested funds, but we still need to do 100% of the job. One other issue that I'd like to draw attention to is the salaries in the Road and Bridge Department. As I prepared our budget last year, I spoke with Sherilyn and I called the surrounding counties, and they all gave me the same figure. And our guys are being significantly underpaid. And this makes it very hard to attract and retain qualified people. And that, I think, is part of where our weakness lies at this point. It's hard to promote people. It's not when you're underpaid by $10,000 a year, that's a big difference. I'd like to thank the court for the increases that have been made in the funds that have been redirected to the Road and Bridge Department since I joined the county in 2013. I promise you it has not gone unnoticed. I know there's not a simple solution to this problem, and rest assured that as long as I'm part of the Road and Bridge Department, I will strive to get the best and the most out of every dollar that I can. Unfortunately, I just need more dollars to make it happen. Included in this presentation, I have some charts that show our budgeted amounts versus our actual expenditures. We strive every year to not have to come back and ask for a big budget amendment. I feel like that's not being fair to the other departments when we come back and ask for a big amendment every year and we're not following the budget that's set for us. It makes me feel like I'm not doing my job. And I'm doing my best to shuffle the pennies around and get the most out of every dollar. The final chart in these charts that are included with this presentation shows the expenses, the costs of our materials. Since 2013, when I joined the department, all of them have an upward trend. Since I joined the department, the price of oil dirt has gone from $59 a ton to $90 a ton. That's a 53% increase. With most of our material lines, the allocations have not been able to keep up with the upward trend in prices. I appreciate y'all's time. I understand that what I'm saying up here is probably not popular. It's not something I like to get up here and say, but money is what it boils down to at this point.
You guys have any questions, comments for Ms. Benson?
Yes. Might be for Ms. Benson, might be for all of us as well, because we understand, we want you to have everything that you need. When the sheriff's department comes to us, we make sure they have everything that they need. Unfortunately, I don't think there are federal grants
I've looked.
to help.
I have looked
Fix
into it,
roads.
and they're not for the type of projects that we're looking at.
Right.
There's not a lot of funding out there to redo county roads. I have been in touch after attending the flood forum that you brought to my attention in Paris at the beginning of March. I have been in contact with Half Associates that does a lot of federal grants, and I'm exploring some options. But like a raised grant, which I was considering going after, they basically said it's pretty much impossible. The city of Tyler's been trying for 5 years to get one and has not been approved.
How many years ago was it that we had the big grant from the state in that road, in the road work, the CTIP?
There's been 2 rounds of that from the state. It was back, I believe, in 2019.
Well, since I've been here, I know we've done it a time or two, and what I've been following is that supposedly, I don't know if it's passed yet or not, but they have increased that line item in the state budget.
I will jump on that. That's a great program.
350 million. It seems like 200 or 250 was the limit back, the first one that we got, and there was a lot of counties that didn't apply, and then they went back and re-upped it for that other balance, but.
Rest assured, if that one comes up.
We need to be watching for it, because what I'm reading, now whether it's the same, like you say, that meets what our needs or our criteria is, but they're supposed to be, they've upped that budget projected for the state.
I will be on that one. That's a great program. It's relatively simple in the grant world. We will be all over that.
Thank you, Commissioner Eber. That was my next. Thank you for bringing it in. But now, the numbers that you gave us and the way things are going right now, we see that there's going to be an additional amount if these tariffs come in. Is that added into this?
No, sir.
That it needs to be added in?
Yes, sir.
That's the only way we can get a true picture.
Yes, sir. I did bring you all a copy of, this is through the close of business on Thursday. This is what, we call it our construction money balance report. This shows what's been spent per precinct, on patching. It has your construction budget allocations, listed on there. And you can see, even though we're only a few months into the year, we're not halfway through the year, we're already in gravel patching.
Certainly, budgets are for planning purposes, and when I look at these charts like this, some years you're overspending, some you're underspending, and I think every year we tell y'all, if you get to the end of the work season and you need more money, come to us, and I think we usually accommodate you.
Yes, sir.
In fact, we gave you $2 million that you didn't even ask for new motor graders to reduce that monthly or annual payment that we had.
Yes, sir.
So it's not like we're
No, that's
withholding, and I want you to know, I'll say this again, if you get to the end of your season and you're short on money, you come back to us, because we don't want, as long as we got good weather for road building, we don't want to quit.
Well, and that's the thing, Luke will tell you, I usually go to panicking and wringing my hands about this time every year, because we're looking at our plan, and there's a lot of unknowns in road construction. It could rain all summer. There's been summers that it has rained all summer and we got just a few miles of roads done. Then there's been years that in October, it's still 95 degrees every day and we're still out building roads. We just need to be prepared, and it's hard for us to say, okay, we're gonna do this. Well, now we need $1.2 million. Well, what if there's not the $1.2 million? So we just are trying to be proactive so that we can plan and that we're ahead of the game and not running blind.
I think sometimes y'all,
and I'm gonna say this again, I've been saying it for 10 years, and I've yet still to get an answer, and I'm gonna say it for the 11th time. I look at these reports, and 4 always is the stepchild. I got the second most mowed miles behind precinct 1, at about 30-something% of the roads, and Williams got 35 and 36. 2 and 3's got 17% or whatever it is. Common sense tells me I've got twice the road miles that 2 and 3 have. So in essence, I'm gonna have twice the patching cost, but yet I'm always at the bottom of the list, or right there at the bottom.
So-
That is a problem for me when I'm elected by the residents in precinct 4, and that's who I should be here fighting for. And in the last couple of years, I've been on the end of it. And I understand that the first responsibility in the county is to fix the safety concerns. If they fall all in precinct 1 or precinct 2 or precinct 3 or precinct 4, then so be it, because they are addressed first. I understand that. But when you go to making a deal, in order for somehow that you have got to start looking at the percentage of road miles that are in these different precincts. Because common sense says that if you're doing 10 miles in 4 and 10 miles in 2 and 3, then you're gonna get through with 2 and 3 2 or 3 times faster than what you're gonna get through with 4 or 1. So I'm not complaining, I'm fighting for the people that elected me to be in here and represent them, and I don't feel like when we look at the numbers, I don't feel like I'm getting a fair shake when you look at numbers. Granted, I don't know what's in these precincts that might be considered safety concerns that you have to address, but those are the kind of things that I personally need to know, because
When you look at that sheet there in precinct 4's patching material,
I'm looking at
when you
it.
go into the red, that doesn't mean we stop patching.
Oh, I know that, but when you throw numbers and sheets for us to look at and evaluate, these are the things that jump out at me.
This sheet
Now, I would
that
like to see a workshop in the next month or so with Road and Bridge and the Commissioners Court prior to the budget year. I know there's some deficiencies, we all do. But we also know that, we might need to evaluate the process that we're using in losing 3 to 3.5 months in road building year. I see this year we've got 19 miles of rebuild. I've never seen us, since I've been here, get that many miles of in-house rebuild. Now, I might be wrong, but I would like to see what we've done from about 2020 or through 2024 as far as what we actually got built in miles of in-house rebuild. Because I'm sitting here looking and wondering if it's cost effective to continue to build in-house roads, or is it more cost effective for us to spend that money on overlay and pothole patching? I know what happens during that 3 or 3.5 months. We're working 6 tens. Well, guess what? Each guy that works 6 days is acquiring 30 hours of comp time a week. And if we work 3 months, when you start running the number of time of crew, well, you come about September, I don't know if we got enough people that work out there to even send a shovel out with some pothole material to patch, because they've got all this comp time accumulated that they have to take. I understand that. So I'm saying, if we want to address more repairs, we know that we talked about this a couple of months ago when we did the budget and why it was done and what happened. So, we knew that. We've been waiting for y'all to say, hey, we need some more materials for patching or overlay or whatever. So, it's just, for me, I don't know if we're doing what's in the best interest of the way we're progressing. I'm just questioning that, because it might be that it's cheaper for us and get more productive to not have thousands of hours of comp time that's got to be taken toward the end of the year prior to the new budget year, and have those guys working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and instead of building roads, we're overlaying and patching countywide. I mean, we run 2 crews to build roads. I'm, for some reason, 10 to 12 miles is stuck in my head is what we end up getting done, and I know that's weather related and material cost and everything. There's a lot of factors in it, but a lot of those factors we can't control. We're stuck just like y'all are. We'd love to give you, $1 million more or whatever it takes. But I'm a firm believer that we've got some issues, we need to sit down at the table and figure out what is the best and the way to attack this. I'm a firm believer that throwing money at a problem doesn't fix it. Now, we know this is a problem. I think we're all adults, and I think we need to sit down at the table and lay it all out on the table and look at and come to a conclusion. Since I've been here, we've been told that we don't have a lot of say. That's the way the unit system is set up. So I've been real cautious as to ask and do a lot of questioning because I don't feel like that's in the realm of what we are. We take all the complaints, but we don't get to really ask. I'm just saying, you know, y'all thrown a lot of information at us, and I think that we as a commissioners court need to be able to sit down and ask these tough questions. I don't want to do it here in court because, you know, there might be a simple answer when I ask a stupid question. But I think until we do that, it's still going to be a lot of uncertainty as to how we move forward. I'm just saying, hey, let's get a game plan and let us be involved with trying to figure out how we're going to address it, you know. Because we could throw millions of dollars at it. If the weather don't cooperate or the employees don't get the hours or don't work, then we're not gonna get any more done with more money than what we're getting with less money. I mean, it's gonna take a combination of all of it, and I just don't think that when you look at the numbers, I personally have some questions.
I do want you to know that this report that I just gave you, the way our budget has been split up since I've been with the department, 70% of our road oil and patching materials is set aside every year for construction. 30% is set aside for routine maintenance. The figures on this sheet are based on mileage alone per precinct. I go through every year and adjust the numbers. They haven't changed a whole lot. You also have to consider property values, population, number of structures. There's a lot of things, and I actually have that sheet in my folder that I brought with me. I'll be happy to share that with you. At this point, we have not made the adjustments based on that because it's pretty drastic. It's going to make some significant changes to the way our funds are distributed.
We're just trying to keep up with the inflation right now.
But obviously,
And the last time we had a really good year was when we had a search program through TxDOT and had almost $1 million given to the department that year. That year we were able to do close to 2 miles of road per week. That's kind of our goal. When we've got the funds and we've got the money and we can hit it hard and heavy, we get pretty close to that. You know, you have to get all your bugs worked out, your equipment stuff and all of that, everything back up and running at the beginning of the year. And you've got weather that factors into that, but that's always kind of where Luke and I have kind of set our goal is a mile per crew per week.
We want to give you what you need to run your department. That's understood. We now sit here, we have a judge that understands.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate our judge and along with the rest of these commissioners. But I'm sorry that the assistant district tax did not pass. So maybe the citizens have another plan. There's only one other plan, and that's to raise property taxes. You know, so maybe that's what they expecting us to do. You know, we pat ourselves on the back and pride ourselves for keeping taxes down low in this county. And I think in the state of Texas, we one of the lowest in keeping property taxes down. But nobody's patting us on the back except for us. We're the only ones that's proud of it. Everybody else said they don't care. So that might be something that we'll look at.
Well, I think today too, and this pretty much answers why we're having the issues that we have. If Becky give a report, we normally don't see a calendar year report. But what jumps out at me is, we get hammered about, I'm paying. And when you look at this report, ad valorem taxes that were collected are less than 0.5% difference from 23 to 24. So we as a county, we struggle with the same increase that every household in the county does. Our utility bills, our hard costs, and I call hard costs what it costs you to actually open that door, water, sewer, electricity, toilet paper, paper towel, whatever it is. And we've done it for a year on less than 0.5% more ad valorem tax from 23 to 24. So I'm kind of like Zeph, I agree 100% that, that I've not had any calls in the 10 years so far that have congratulated us on keeping the tax rate low. We tried,
people are moving.
yeah, well, it's picked up. So what does that mean? That we've got more to maintain than what we had from the year before?
There's a new house being built on every road you go to.
Well, I can just say it for where I live. I mean, we've probably doubled in taxable properties in the last 3 or 4 years, and for years it was, So, I mean, it's a catch-22. It's great for the school district. It's great for the county as far as ad valorem tax, but it adds another kink to the road and bridge, And I still say that for me personally, I would love to see us sit down. I don't think this is the place for us to air out what everybody's thoughts are.
Yes.
You've given us the facts. And I'd just like to see us come together as a group and sit down and come up with a game plan of how we're gonna attack it. I mean, what it is. We can quit working on them and let them deteriorate to a point that we get back to gravel roads or whatever, which a lot of counties down south always have. Or we can maintain, I'm sure that we're probably one of the few that still doing oil dirt. Most of them, a lot of them have gone to overlay type. I don't know where they're getting the money from, because I think that the oil dirt's what we've always done, because that's what we could afford, basically. So, I think there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed and looked at, and I think that we all need to get on the same page. When I say all of us, I mean the Commissioners Court in Road and Bridge. It is the second largest department in the county outside the sheriffs and the jails, and I understand that, but, there's a lot of things that we've done that we thought was making it better, and maybe we need to address some of the things that we've done and see if maybe they're not working.
Well, it definitely is a whole different and 1,000% better than it was when I joined the department in 2013. I mean, there is no doubt about that.
So,
Just the inflation still.
Yeah.
well, and I think that's all of it. It kills us when we go into the budget process, when you try to start dividing that pie up, and everybody understands that pie is just so big, and when you start slicing it by all the departments and all the employees.
Well, and like I said,
we're gonna be we're not just slight road and bridge. I mean, it's a
yeah,
county-wide issue,
we totally appreciate that you can't cut hundreds of thousands of dollars from some of these other departments because their whole budget isn't hundreds of thousands of dollars. We totally understand and appreciate that.
And I'm proud of the courts that I've been on, of the way we address it and try to do it, and sometimes it gets pretty gut-wrenching. So, that's for me. I'd just like to see us sit down with our paperwork and our questions and address them in a deal before we hit the hard cycle of May and June when the budget's really, we don't have a clue what's gonna happen. We're still waiting on projected values, and we know that they're not gonna be right anyway, because the comptroller's gonna tell us what our value is come August, end of August. So, we're kinda like, everybody else. We're trying to hang on to this.
Well, please know that y'all all know how to reach me. I am happy to discuss this at any time. I take ownership in any position I hold, and I know that I'm not gonna own Harrison County, but it's my baby. It's, you know, it's what I do. It's what I believe in. It's what I buy into. It's what I take care of. And I pride myself and strive to do the very best job that I can. So please feel free to reach out with any questions. You've got my cell phone number, you know, my office number, emails, however you need to reach me. Whenever you're ready to come out to Road and Bridge, let us know. We'll have a pot of sweet tea or a pot of coffee waiting on you, so.
Well, you know, and I've stayed away because I know that as a commissioner, we really don't have the authority, the way the system is set up in state law to come out there, you know, we can discuss it. But, you know, so I think that we need to post a meeting and have a workshop, with the court when we all hear at the same time. You know, I hate to hear stuff second and third hand, because I don't do a very good job relaying stuff when it gets down through, my mind running every day just like everybody else's. So, I think it's important that we do it as a group, so we all hear the same thing at the same time. So if he's got questions, then, you know, somebody could ask a question. I thought, well, yeah, I didn't think about that too. So, but I mean, so I'd just like to, before we get engrossed in, to the budget cycle, that we try to go ahead and come together and figure out, start putting something together.
Well, and that's kind of why I wanted to
yeah.
put the bug out here now.
And I wanted to,
Can you make that happen?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to have one more thought on this. Just tell us what you need to get the job done. When we send our sheriff's department out, when they get a call, they need good roads to run on. If EMS is called, they need good roads to run on. And because we don't want them going out having an accident on our roads. So just tell us what you need and
Please know that I put my blood, sweat, and tears into our budget requests every year. I do not ask for any more than I think we need. I will be the first one to reduce a line if I think we've got more, or I show that we've carried over for several years. Luke will tell you, there's calculator tape and notebook paper being scribbled all over while I'm working on budget. I strive to make sure that I can back up everything that I ask for.
I feel like sometimes, and I'm gonna agree with, everything that's been said, and especially Judge Sims' opening statement about, I think sometimes, and you know, I'm involved with y'all a great deal. I feel like sometimes y'all are concentrating a little bit too much, and it can't be any fun worrying about running out of money. And sometimes I think you're pumping the brake a little bit too soon and cutting back to keep from running out of money and keep from coming back and asking for more money. That's, I would like to see that improved. I mean, we've got the money, and that's one of the biggest issues that we hear is about the roads. That's it, so. And I am yet to receive a thank you for keeping the low tax, but just wait and see how quick that changes when the tax get raised, so.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, and we boast about, a couple of years back, I think we had a record year, was it 19 miles or 22 miles or something? And we boasted about that. When you divide that figure into 734 miles, that means that if we had a good year like that, we'd have all our roads fixed in 35 years if we never got another pothole. So we cannot keep working that way. And I don't think anything's gonna change until this court gets more involved and we are somewhere between a unit commissioner and a road commissioner. I think the ball gets dropped and then we're just not following up on it. And I'm guilty of that myself, so. But we're willing to make some changes. We wanna do what we can, so. And I know, Lisa, you work very, very hard on the budget, every year, so. But anyway, I'd like to see some changes, and let's do it.
Thank you, Ms. Benson.
Thank you, Commissioner
Thank you,
Jones.
Lisa.
thank you.
Next up from our Sheriff's Department, item number 1 is consideration and approval to accept a donation in the amount of $200 from David Thomas, which is to be used for the Harrison County K-9 program.
Motion.
Chief Revis.
Second.
Good morning.
Did I hear a motion? Did I miss all that? Who was the motion made by?
I made it, Zeph.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments? We'll always thank Mr. Thomas for being so faithful to our K-9 program. Appreciate him. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Number 2 is consideration and approval to accept the state plan of operation between the state, United States Territory LESO program and Harrison County Sheriff's Office.
That's the MRAP that we have now. We have 2 armored vehicles, and that's the big one we've got, and it was,
So it's basically on loan to us from the
Correct.
federal government. We get
Correct.
to use it.
Correct.
Every year we have to renew. Is it every year we renew the
yes,
agreement?
every year.
Yep.
And they just came in and did an audit, and they look at it, and
Okay.
that's what that is.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Number 3 is consideration and action regarding the acceptance of the K-9s for Cops Award.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Dwight explain that. He's been working on that.
All right.
Real good program.
Before I get off into that too deep, I just kind of want to reiterate some of the things that Lisa and Luke were saying. We are all very disappointed that the assistant district didn't go through, but I hope that we don't give up on that, even if ESD 1, gets lucky and gets theirs done. We can still, as I understand it, go for an assistance district for everything except that district. So I hope that that y'all consider forging forward on that. And also on the grant side of it, Lisa's right there. We turn those rocks over every chance we get. And as y'all have heard me say before, all the different federal agencies have got their own individual ways of doing things, and USDOT is probably the worst one of all. It's almost like whoever is putting those grants together and putting the money together has got a specific place that they want that money to go. Because they put so many qualifiers on their grants that by the time you get down to the qualifiers, we get eliminated every time. And even if we got one, the paperwork is so taxing on those grants, we'd have to hire 5 to 10 people just to keep up with everything. But we keep looking at them. Hopefully someday we're gonna find one that's gonna do us a little bit of good. But I just wanted to back up what she was saying about that.
Very good. Thank you, Lieutenant Mays. And so you want to tell us about this K-9s for Cops Award?
Yes, sir. Y'all all remember back in 2019 when Sheriff McCool asked us to start restructuring the K-9 for Cops program, the K-9 program altogether for the department. One of the dogs that we acquired was through K-9 for Cops. And I want to go back to that first dog just so that y'all understand the blessing that not only that dog, but this one is, just because of the way that it happened. I was in search of K-9 for Cops, but not really knowing where to look. I just happened to be going to a board meeting for my alumni for my old high school in Bryan, Texas. And sat down at that meeting. Dale and I were there, and people were starting to come in, and a young lady came and sat by me, and her name was Amy Fort, and started talking to her about what she does, and her husband have a K-9 program where they take dogs with bad habits and try to correct those habits for people. So that got me talking about us trying to reestablish our K-9 program. I said, yeah, I said, and I'm looking for this lady named Christy Schiller. I understand she's down here in College Station somewhere. I said, but I just don't know how to contact her. And he said, oh, well, I know Christy. She said, matter of fact, her daughter goes to school here. Didn't you know that? And I went, well, no, I didn't. So she dials her on the phone and hands me the phone and says, here, Christy, you need to talk to this guy. I mean, that's how that one happened. It was that ironic. Well, that same irony has occurred again. Y'all may know that Tony Smith, the guy that we were using as a vendor up in Little Rock, passed away a couple of years ago, and we were heartbroken over that, but that put us in a mode to be looking for a new, good qualified vendor. And I called Miss Schiller and I said, who are you using now? And she said, well, one of the people I use is a place called Paysetters out in Liberty Hill, just on the other side of Austin. And she said, they got a good thing going, you ought to go out there and look. So y'all may remember Lieutenant Hilton and Lieutenant Jones went out there just a week or so before they went on their trip to the NNDDA conference. They met with the owner out there, a man named Bob, and got a great facility. And while they were there, they met another lady by the name of Ms. Goodwin. Ms. Goodwin, as it just so happens, is one of Ms. Schiller's philanthropist partners. And she had, in the last, I think they told me the last 3 years, she's personally financed 7 dogs for Canine for Cops. She was there to meet with another agency. And she was actually there on the wrong day. She was there on a Thursday, but she wasn't supposed to be there till a Friday. And it just so happened that at that agency that she was supposed to meet with had already told Bob, said, well, we're gonna go another way. We found another vendor that's closer, we're gonna use them. So she felt like her time was kind of wasted that day. And anyway, they were talking and trading stories, and she got kind of interested because the guys told her that, well, Miss Schiller has already purchased 1 dog for us. And that was pretty much all that was said about it, and everybody went on their way. About an hour later, as Lieutenant Hilton and Lieutenant Jones were on their way home, the phone rings, and it's Bob, the owner of Paysetters. He said, I don't know what y'all said to Ms. Goodwin, but said you kind of impressed her. She said she's fixing to go overseas for a vacation for a few weeks. But she wants y'all to send her your application. She wants to think about it while she's gone. So a week ago Friday, I get a call from Christy's assistant, Kristen Brown, and she said, I got good news. She said, Ms. Goodwin is home, and she said she wants to finance your dog. So again, another just complete, nothing but irony, just being in the right place at the right time. I can't help but think that God had something to do with it. But anyway, there we are. She has agreed to finance our dog. I know that we had to retire Coffee because of some hip dysplasia, so that put us in the mode of looking for another dog. So that's where we are.
Very good. So today this item is the consideration and action regarding the acceptance of the Canines for Cops Award, and that will be the donation by them to us for a canine.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Kusi. Any questions or comments for Lieutenant Mays? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? There are none, our motion passes 5-0.
Just so y'all know, in the past 5 years, of course, now even with the tariff thing, we don't know how that's gonna affect it, but things have gone up considerably. What she is financing includes the cost of the dog and the training, and we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 grand to cover all that these days.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Our next item is from our county clerks, consideration and approval of the transcribed minutes of the Commissioners' Court meeting on April the 8th, 2025. You guys have had a chance to review those minutes.
Motion. Second.
A motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Hatfield. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Next, under purchasing, item number 1 is consideration and approval to declare the following units as surplus and disposal of the said items: Unit 11458, Unit 11508, Unit 11463, and Unit 11913. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments? This is where we declare these as surplus, and they'll be placed into an auction soon by our purchasing agent. Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Number 2 is consideration and approval to declare the list of Motorola model AAM79KTD9PW5AN two-way radios as surplus and disposal. Upon approval, the radios will be exchanged with the Nesbit Volunteer Fire Department for 4 new tires for the Harrison County ERT, that's the Emergency Response Team's MRAP armored vehicle. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Coos. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, are these 4 tires that they just happen to have in one of their stations that they can't use, that they were just trying to get rid of in order for us to give them these, or are they gonna have to go out and purchase these tires?
No, these tires, they actually acquired them. The Lesso program that we're talking about, somehow Nesbit had acquired these tires through the Lesso project. They had them that they were gonna put on a fire truck there at Nesbit, but they didn't fit.
Okay.
And they exactly fit our MRAP, the one we were just talking about.
That's great.
And they're the tire and wheel, each one's $5,000 apiece.
That's what I was, yeah.
$20,000 in tires.
So I didn't want to make sure they wasn't going out and
Yes, sir.
buying these to exchange, because
No.
they just happen to have them.
Right.
That's a good deal.
It is, it's good, sure good for us. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Number 3 is consideration and approval to declare the list of Motorola two-way radios and the ICF 951-1HT as surplus and disposal. Upon approval, radios will be transferred to various Harrison County ESDs by the direction of Fire Marshal McConnell. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Ebarb. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Number 4 is consideration and approval to declare the following items as surplus and disposal of said items. These are our red tag numbers 13272 and 13273. They're air clean device systems kits. Those are those COVID air cleaners, I believe is what those are, that evidently we're not using anymore. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Number 5 is consideration and action regarding the approval of the specifications for seal coat bid number 2025-03 for the Road and Bridge Department, and authorization of publication for said notice to bidders in the Marshall News Messenger and the Longview News Journal on April 23rd, 2025 and April 30th, 2025, and posting on the Harrison County website. This, again, is our seal coat bid. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Coos. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Under new business, item number 1 is consideration and action to approve the updated TDM 147 form for the city of Scottsville. This adds the Scottsville mayor, I believe, as an emergency contact for the Department of Emergency Management. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Hatfield. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Number 2 is consideration and action to approve the updated TDM 147 form for Harrison County. Again, this is the same form that will include all of our county emergency contacts. If there's an issue, TDM can reach out to us for any questions or updates. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Number 3 is consideration and action to approve the statement of work to be completed by Gov Connection in the implementing of new Microsoft 365 products. Mr. Perkins, are you here to talk about this item? I know y'all been working on the Microsoft 365, and this item, I think, brings some engineering, some technical folks to kind of begin that discussion.
Yes, sir. The Microsoft 365 project was approved last budget year. Due to some constraints with the phone system, we weren't able to get that implemented during last budget year. Since then, we've had CGIS audits, and there's been requirements to implement additional security. I opted to go with a Microsoft solution. It's Microsoft Entra ID. The scope of this project is continually expanding. It's expanding every day. It expanded just yesterday. As you know, I work night hours trying to get this done, and it's near impossible to get support from Microsoft without a Microsoft support contract. An ongoing Microsoft support contract is going to cost way more than what these support with government connection. For us to quickly and safely do this and to get it done right, we will need to, their support is required. So and we're just asking for approval to do this.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Had a motion by Commissioner Ebar.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hatfield. Any questions or comments for Mr. Perkins? Not all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 4 is consideration and action to approve the termination of the ground lease between Harrison County Airport and Piney Woods Land Group LLC, which is Hangar 1A, that was approved May the 7th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coos, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Number 5 is consideration and action regarding the approval of the acceptance of the donation of the payment in the amount of $17,850 from the Courthouse Preservation Council regarding the repair of the Harrison County Historic Courthouse bell. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Hatfield. Any questions or comments? And again, we thanked them at the very front of our meeting for their generosity in repairing our bell. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item number 6 is presentation and action regarding the approval of the MOU between Health Plan Freedom, Inc., HPF, and Harrison County, Texas. We are the facility to administer the pretrial inmate insurance program, and your all's patience will be appreciated as we try to get this going. David, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. You guys, you might reduce the volume, or I think that's probably what you need to do on yours.
I'm just, talk you guys through this whenever you're ready.
David, we're ready. You might go ahead and introduce yourself, and we're happy to hear from you.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking time. I know you were already into a long meeting, so I'll make this short and painless. My name is David Dees. I'm with a company called Correctional Health Services. And we have partnered with a company out of Charlotte called Messer Financial. They're one of the largest insurance brokers in the country, especially when it comes to the Affordable Care Act. And they created a policy called Health Plan Freedom, and that's what we're talking to you guys about. And to explain, so just let you know, this started about 18 months ago. We're working with about 175 carriers across mostly the Southwest and Southeast, but we're just getting word out. And so what this is, to just cut right to it, and you guys don't hesitate to yell or ask any questions, but there is a federal subsidy available through the Affordable Care Act that will pay for the sheriff's or the off-site medical claims and the prescriptions for inmates that are pre-trial. So once they go to get convicted and sentenced and go to a state prison, this goes away. But while they're in the pre-trial, from arrest to sentencing, it covers them. So that means anybody that comes in you know, it could be, they get in a fight, break a jaw, and have to go to the emergency department. The Affordable Care Act will take care of that. Or I'm sure with, there's, most jails that we have people on very expensive, either mental health, HIV, cancer drugs, and this will pay for them from $1. And so that's really the benefit in a nutshell. And just so you know, this is, the Affordable Care Act's been around 14 years, and that's what this is, Obamacare, also known as Obamacare. And it's no different. This policy was not initially created for the Corrections Department. The company I'm working with just figured out, okay, the same people that qualify for the Affordable Care Act subsidy are also typically the people in jails. So we came up with a plan to help the sheriffs, and in the process, we're helping sheriffs, even small jails, save hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes. And so the way it works is there is work on the jail's side. And so when an inmate comes in, they have to get them to fill out an authorization form. They don't write the insurance policy. They can't legally. They get the, and it's a very simple form. It's basically the stuff they do at intake anyway, name, address, phone number. And they send that information to the insurance company who writes the policy for the inmate. Airplane going by there. So anyway, I hope you guys can hear me. So what happens there is it goes to the insurance company. They buy an individual policy. So these are inmates that typically don't have insurance, or if they do, once they're incarcerated, get suspended or things. So they now have insurance. And I can go into a whole bunch more. Can you hear me? I can hear you guys. I can hear something loud in the background.
I'm not sure who that was.
So, there we go. That was it. That shut it off.
Okay.
You guys hear me okay now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Anyway, so that's it. So what happens is, so the great part of this thing is these are zero premium policies. Every county in the country has two policies through the Affordable Care Act that are zero premium. And the one that is best for your county is Krista's Health Plan. These are usually Blue Cross, Blue Shield, United. Anyway, sorry, I'm hearing something else over here.
And I'm not sure.
Sorry, I'm running a little late. I had a call with Mississippi Jail, and it's kind of there in the background, trying to make them be quiet there. But
David asked me to apologize for him. He is actually stuck on a county commission.
David, just right quick, I guess as I understand it, there's no fee to the county for this, and Captain Hayne is.
To the county, there's no cost to the sheriff, and there's no cost to the inmate. And that's where sheriffs always go, hey, okay, what's the trick? There's something too good to be true. It's not. It's available. The funds are available. Again, like I said, it's been vetted by every DA, attorney, judge, city council you can imagine. And it's just a fund that's been available, and sheriffs just don't know about it. So we just started our outreach to the sheriff's department, and we just started in Texas. I handled Texas and Arkansas and a few other states by myself. But we're getting a lot of success. I've already got 4 on board very quickly, and I'm talking to from small jails to Bexar County, so all kinds of different sizes that are in the process of joining. But the good part is, again, so these inmates get the policy, and the other thing I didn't mention, it stays with them when they leave. So this is a chance for somebody that is kind of in a bad situation to get coverage and protected while they're there. It protects the sheriff because instead of, we get horror stories all the time of an inmate, and I'm sure you guys have had them, that something they have that's a chronic disease, or they have cancer, or they have a heart attack or something, it blows up the county budget very quickly. And this protects it because the most the county can pay for an inmate is $1,300. It doesn't matter if their bill's $1 million, $500,000, or $30,000. And so the advantage of this is for everybody. The sheriff saves money, the county saves money, the inmate doesn't have to pay for it. And actually the healthcare providers love it because the ACA usually reimburses at a higher rate than Medicaid. So we've had jails say, well, we don't want to see that or providers say, we don't want to see your jail inmates because we don't get compensated at the right amount. Well, now they do. So there's no risk, there's no downside. It's just an arsenal, or a tool in the arsenal. You can use it, the sheriff can use it when he wants to, he doesn't have to use it. It's just like you and I having an insurance card. But 95% of the time, they're going to want to use it because, again, it's getting paid for. So when you look at the county's sheriff's department and you say, okay, what did they spend on off-site medical? What did they spend on prescriptions? That number will be drastically reduced for the jail. And so that's a mouthful. I'll shut up now and see if you guys have any questions.
I guess I don't have any questions for you, David, but Captain Hayne, it'll take some administration on y'all's end, filling out the forms.
There's an online portal that our staff can go to, and Mr. D will also have access to that portal to track people that do qualify for this insurance program.
So you're prepared and able to handle this extra step in your intake process?
Yes, sir.
And you'll also, I assume, have to transport inmates to Christus, if this is through Christus, you'll take them to the hospital?
We already have to do that when necessary, so it's not an extra step in that aspect.
Very good.
Yeah, it's anybody that,
Go ahead.
So I assume anybody that qualifies under the indigent health care at the county now, instead of being under the county indigent care, would qualify under this Obamacare. I mean, that's theoretically, that's what we.
They are pre-trial inmates, so, and assuming, of course, they don't come to jail with private insurance, or they're on Medicare or Medicaid, then they wouldn't qualify for the program under the ACA, but other than that, yes, they should qualify. Should say it's a lot of money.
Yeah. So that first the first $1,300, does that come from the jail's medical or from indigent?
We're trying to figure, where is it? We don't know. Where it comes from.
Still county dollars from either place, but.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, because we're under a contract for a PA or nurse or whatever that comes to our jail. And we pay a large sum of money a year, the county does. If that inmate qualifies under this, will that contract allow them to bill this insurance and rebate back that cost that we paid for their visit to that inmate? Will they bill that insurance to cover that medical that visit at the jail?
I think I heard it. So what happens is, the inmate has a card and the jail has a portal that they go in and all the information's in there, and it will say who's covered, who's not covered, because about 70% will qualify, 30% won't, because if they're on Medicaid or Medicare, we're not going to mess up something they have, or it could be a veteran on benefits. So it's those people we don't write. And there's also the other thing you'll find out is the average is about 20% of your inmates already have this and just haven't told you. And so in that scenario, when you get that information back, you can look in there, and if you say, okay, Bob Smith had a surgery 60 days ago, you can actually go back 90 days and get that reimbursed. But the way it works is anything you do in-house stays the same. Of your nurses, anything else. But anybody that takes the insurance, so Christus Health Plan is the insurance plan, but there's probably other hospital facilities in your area that also will take that insurance. So what happens is when you send that inmate off-site or you call to get their prescriptions, you send that card with them. You go in the file, you send it, and it has Christus Health. They have an insurance policy. And then the hospital bills the county, bills the insurance company directly. The only thing that ever comes back to you is the copay. And so let me talk about that, because $1,300 is just the maximum out of pocket. Again, you may never use it, or you send somebody to the emergency department. So like most of the time, and I'll send you the actual insurance policy so you can see this, but on the Christus Health, there's all outpatient mental, specialist, primary care, urgent cares have zero copay. So you don't have to pay anything. But if there's say there was a prescription medication that was a mental health drug, the generic ones are all paid for, and it's the formulary for the insurance company. But if there was a doctor who said, okay, well, this person can't take the generic, you have to take the name brand. That doesn't happen a lot, but if it does, there's a copay, and that might be $50. Well, that $50 goes towards the $1,300. Or, if this inmate goes off 3 times and gets in 3 different fights and whatever, and you have, multiple bills, any copay goes towards the $1,300. Does that make sense? So it's really like a kind of stop loss. I mean, it's protecting you against any kind of catastrophic issue, but it also, the prescription piece, we have jails now much bigger than you, but Pinellas County, Florida is one of ours, and they just sent us an email last week that they're saving about $250,000 a month on prescriptions alone. Now they have 3,000 inmates, so it's a little different animal, but again, we get those savings all the time, even for small jails, again, because it only takes one inmate to take a header off the top bunk or something happen, and to really mess up the budget. Did I answer the question? Because I didn't hear it all.
So his question, we use a third party for our jail medical in-house. It's called Southern Health Partners. And the question the commissioner had is, if an inmate needed treatment and is getting treated from Southern Health Partners, could Southern Health Partners actually bill this insurance for that service?
They bill the insurance for that service. I think so, but I will have to get you an answer. I believe that's the case, because most of our jails we deal with have a medical provider, whether it's VitalCore or Turnkey or Southern Health Partners, have somebody that they do in-house. If the rule of thumb is, this is an insurance card, so anybody that takes insurance can use this policy, if that makes sense. Now, here's what, this is between you and Southern Health Partners, because, so I don't know if you're familiar with companies like Diamond or IHS. They're the big pharmaceutical companies. They don't take insurance, but what they do, and a lot of medical providers do it, and Turnkey does this, they go into a county and negotiate a contract, and you guys pay X amount of money for the prescriptions. They don't always like this, because now you don't have to pay for that. So a lot of the counties will utilize this, and so they'll use their primary medical provider for some of the stuff, but when there's something expensive, they don't go through the medical provider. They use this card, the insurance card for the individual instead. And so then they'll say, okay, well, look, we spent $100,000 less this year less because we were able to get it for, at no cost. And so they just negotiate their contract down with the medical provider in the following year. We don't need that $100,000 piece, if that makes sense. I hope that answered the question. I had another, go ahead.
Sure, I think that we'll probably need to get y'all talking with Southern Health Partners to kind of iron out those details just to make sure, and I think that's a reasonable thing for us to do. So as he mentioned, you'll pay, or the county pays the first $1,300, and then for a covered inmate, you'll quit paying.
Well, you don't pay the first 13, that's your copay, which if you go today and the deductible's $75, then you pay that $75, and you pay that until it reaches that $1,300.
So I should have said up to. We could pay up to $1,300. This is our max out of pocket, but you may not pay that much. You're just covering the copay. So I don't think it'll bother indigent at all. No, I think it may reduce some costs that you have. If you're paying for an inmate, it could very well do that. It'll either reduce your cost or the jail medical cost.
Anybody that's arrested that's uninsured that then falls under our indigent possibly would fall under this plan. So instead of paying it from indigent, it would be collected on that insurance card that they now have, which I assume, and he said that they could take it with them, so they stay for whatever and they're released or whatever, and then they go. He keeps talking about Christus is the care. I just assume that's for emergency care. I mean,
because I get all of her claims
ones that qualify?
Well, so these claims won't be sent to indigent, they'll be sent to this Christus plan or Blue Cross plan. You won't get those. Is that correct? Does that make sense to you, David? Am I saying that right?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
So Ms. Dean is from our indigent healthcare here. She typically gets all the medical claims. She processes those. But if we're under a health insurance plan, if our inmates are under that, then we won't get those claims. The hospital, the doctor, the provider will file directly with the insurance, and it won't come through the county, the jail, or indigent office, either one.
That's accurate.
All right. Any other questions from you, commissioners? Comments from Captain Hunt?
Where does he get his?
Well,
David, the question is, how do y'all get paid? And I assume it's you're working representing an insurance company that gets paid from the I guess this is a federal government subsidy that's the Obamacare, the ACA health plan, and that y'all get paid through that because you said there's no cost to the county. Is that correct?
right. We get paid by the insurance company. We get a small fee for every inmate that enrolls. And because we get paid that way, there's no charge to the county. So that's the best part of this, is, like I said, you'll see that it saves a lot of money, but you never have to use it. I mean, we've had jails say, well, I'm going to use it for chronic patients, and others say, I'm just going to use it for prescriptions. But most use it for most, but it's for everything. But again, it doesn't cost anyone on your side, inmate, et cetera. So, yep, you'll never get a bill from us. You'll save a lot of money in the process. And again, it's not like we don't even have a legal contract, to be honest with you. We have a memorandum of understanding that we send over that explains what we're going to do. And all we need back from, like, usually the sheriff or the jail administrator or somebody just says, hey, we want to move forward. And as soon as we get that, we set up a 30-minute training with their team to teach them how to fill out the forms and upload it and get them all into their portal. And it's just that easy and to get rolling. So I will find out. I will be happy to talk with Southern Health Partners. I got a little distracted. I was trying to get the guy that started this knows Southern Health Partners very well. And, if you guys have 2 minutes, he said he would jump on the call and explain that. Or if you want me just to do some research and talk to them, I can get back to you as well. But he's ready to.
That. We pay them on a monthly basis, and it's a significant cost to us. And if there was some way to offset some of those costs, that'd be a big benefit to the county. So if you don't mind, you can flesh that out later. That'd be great.
Yep, happy to do that.
Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ebarb, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
We have one abstention. Commissioner Hatfield has abstained.
Yeah, I missed a whole bunch of that. I had technical difficulties, and I'm just not gonna be a go-along guy. I know it's probably the right thing, but
It is fine.
I'm neutral on that.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have one final item that was posted on a supplemental agenda, and that's calling our court to executive session. We'll probably take about a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back in executive here. It's 10:45 right now. Thank you all. Thank you, David. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Let it know before you do it.